You have to stop arguing. I remember, like it was yesterday, being someone who literally got triggered by the most little thing. Literally, someone could maybe joke about a certain thing but provoke in a certain way, and I would probably try to argue back, or even if someone did disrespect me, I would argue back. And I think that there is a reason to argue at some point. When someone tried to argue with me or tried to start a fight, it would always just trigger this emotion of you have to say something, you have to defend yourself, you have to prove something. And so I think it was always this natural reaction of, okay, this is what I typically see, this is how people typically react, and so I have to give the same energy when someone does try to start a fight or try to pick on me or do anything related to that. So I thought, okay, they're starting an argument, I should start to argue back. And typically that goes along with yelling and just, I think that it just goes into non-resolved kind of situation that isn't or doesn't get resolved whatsoever. But I used to always go in that cycle of just arguing, feeling the need of saying something to prove, or I don't even know. And now that I've learned to not do that and not be that kind of person anymore, I soon realized that arguing is not something you should do whatsoever. I think that when we try to argue, it's more of a form of trying to prove yourself because you feel that you need to react as well because they are maybe triggering something within you and you have to prove that you can defend yourself, that you can say something and that they did not win. But I don't think it's about that. It's more about how you view yourself and how you give off your energy. And I think that if you don't care about someone, if you don't care about that person that is literally targeting you, why would you put yourself in a position where you are arguing with them? Because most of the time when we argue, let's be for real, it goes along with yelling, screaming, and just a bunch of words being thrown, or it's just a big lack of communication. Because when it's an actual conversation and there's no yelling, I don't think it's an argument. It's more so a conversation of you guys communicating. But when we're talking about arguing, it's more so people screaming and da 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 da, saying a bunch of words. And I think that there's no point in arguing. Arguing is literally really useless, especially if there's no actual communication happening, as I said, and that it usually goes unresolved. You guys will literally be screaming and no one is going to understand anyone's perspective. Let's be so real. You're going to be out here screaming, and at the end of the day, nothing is resolved. You guys screamed for a while and arguing, but let's be real, you guys did not resolve anything. I'm pretty sure it'd make the situation even worse. So if it's not communication, then it's pointless, it's useless because it's not resolving anything. So if you know this little argument is not going to get you anywhere, why would you engage in it knowing that it will only harm you and how you will feel at the end of it? Because for me, it was more, I was arguing with all of these people before years ago, but now that I'm actually able to reflect on the person I was and how I used to react, I realized that if I don't care about this person, if I don't have any sort of valuable relationship with that person, if I don't love this person, why am I gonna care to argue? Because I think that you really need to care within you to actually put in energy and to react and give off what they want. They want you to argue. They want that reaction. They want something to happen. They want it, and you're giving it to them if you are engaging in it. And you shouldn't if you don't care. If you care about someone, then it should be communication. It shouldn't be an argument whatsoever. But I think there's a real difference. If you have the time to argue with someone, then you care. You care, and you shouldn't care if they have no value. They give no value to your life whatsoever. Honestly, answer this. Why do you argue? Do you think that maybe what we just discussed kind of reflects of why you argue, or why you think you get triggered from people trying to argue with you? But what really makes you argue? What makes you want to react? Why do you feel the need to do that? If you have an answer for that, leave it in the comments to share a bit of your experience. But overall, I really think that arguing as a whole is irrelevant because it gets nowhere. Arguments get nowhere. It's literally, if it's not an actual critical conversation that you know it's going to be good communication, which I don't call arguing, then there's no point. There's no point. Arguing is a waste of time as a whole, and it just basically confirms that you care and you don't want to care about people that don't give value to your life, that don't add value to your life, that you don't actually care about. So I think that you should really focus on stopping this habit and getting rid of it, because for me it was for sure difficult. It was difficult to even realize that I was someone who constantly got triggered, constantly thought I had to say something. And now that I've worked on this, and it took a lot of years, it took years. Even now, I'm not saying 100% I don't have that feeling. It does come sometimes. That's just a human feeling, wanting to say something or feeling triggered. But I think that overall, you should make it your identity to not do that anymore by working on it, on that aspect, and making arguing just out of you and not be any kind of trait of yours whatsoever. And that will save you a lot of you and will get you out of this negative aspect of life. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe to join the community, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.